Hey guys, hope everyone's day is going well. Today we're going to be taking a look at the P-40 Warhawk from Circle City YoYos. This yo is a beast, so let's jump right into the review. Real quick, shout out to Circle City YoYos for sending me this yo-yo. I'll have all their contact info, Instagram, and links in the description down below, so be sure to check them out. Now, I usually don't do unboxings in my yo-yo reviews. However, the P-40 Warhawk comes in a pretty sweet box and has some cool accessories that come with it, so we're gonna jump right on over to a little unboxing experience. Alright, so the Warhawk comes in this really nice red box. Inside we've got a high quality pouch with a carabiner clip and the yo-yo itself. Now, I've been told the pouch itself was designed by Throwbags. So here is their Instagram on the screen right there, and be sure to check them out. We've also got a cool little card from Circle City YoYos with an actual stamp. And this is really pretty darn unique. This is the real deal wax stamp, like they used to seal letters back in the day. And it just looks really cool. Then we got this nice string that is made by Bad Wolf Co. And in addition, we have their little info card. Here is Bad Wolf's Instagram on the screen right there, so be sure to check them out as well. But wait, there's more. This yo also comes with 3 different sized shims. And you may be asking yourself, what are these for? Don't worry, we'll talk about them a little bit later in the video. The P-40 will also ship with 2 bearings and a tube of silicone. The tube of silicone will allow players to design their own response pads, and players can decide how snappy or loose they want their binds to be, which is pretty cool. I personally don't have the 2 bearings and the tube of silicone since this is just a prototype model right here, but just know that when you order this yo-yo, you'll get all the stuff that you see right here and more, so that's pretty sweet. One last thing, in the box we've got a cool Circle City sticker with the Warhawk symbol, and this is really a perfect segue into the next section of the video, the history and background on this yo-yo. Alright, so first, you may recognize this kind of eye and mouth design. You may or may not know this, but the Warhawk is a fighter plane from World War II, and it's got this extremely unique design that makes it truly a staple. We can see we have the eye and mouth paint job on the nose of those types of planes. So, how do these planes relate to this yo-yo? A little bit ago, Circle City YoYos released a yo-yo called the Warbird, which was created by a yo-yoer named Kyle Pearson. That yo-yo had a ton of success, and Circle City wanted to try something different that was still kind of related to the Warbird. So, the Warhawk, or P-40, is a loose variation of the Warbird. You'll notice that this P-40 yo-yo that I have right here is in this really bright red color, and that's inspired by the bright red nose of the Warhawk planes. So yeah, in general, Circle City YoYos really stepped it up with their most recent design. They paired up with some other cool companies to include some nice accessories. They've also included shims, bearings, and silicones so that the yo can really be customized to the player's preferences. And to top it all off, this yo has a really cool name with a bunch of different meanings. Now, let's crack this yo open and take a look inside. One subtle thing that you may or may not have noticed is that this yo features a D bearing, which is a smaller bearing that really isn't used too frequently in this day and age. This smaller bearing makes for some really tight binds and a different feeling in the string. Now, let's talk about these shims. So, we have 0.1 millimeter shims, 0.2 millimeter shims, and 0.3 millimeter shims, as you can see here. Essentially, these shims are placed inside the yo-yo, like so, and they essentially change up the width and kind of play style of the yo-yo. The shims themselves vary in thickness, as you saw, and as a result, you can really customize the play style and how tight you want your binds to be. So later in the video, I'm going to put in all the different size shims and let you know what I think about them. Real quick, before we get any further, I'm going to put the specs of this yo-yo on the screen right here. Alright, so now that we've seen the specs, we can draw a couple conclusions. In general, this yo-yo is right in the middle when it comes to size. The diameter and width are really both pretty standard for yo-yos in this day and age. The material of 7068 is a more premium grade of aluminum. And then finally, the weight of 63 grams makes this yo-yo just a bit on the light side, but just a bit, nothing too crazy. Now, let's break down the appearance and design of this yo-yo. First up, this red colorway is fantastic. It's ridiculously bright and super noticeable and eye-catching. The shape of the Warhawk is also really sweet. There's a little cut right near the rim, and then from there it's just this constant smooth slope down to the bearings, so it's a very clear V shape. Moving on over to the cup, we've got a couple interesting things going on. The stainless steel rims on this yo are huge. They are insanely thick, and right beneath them, there's a nice little ridge for thumb grinds. From there, we got a slope that leads down to a kind of flat center. In the center, there's this little mini cup, and then there's a cut that leads down to a very perfectly flat middle piece. So basically, there's a little cut, and then the very middle of this yo-yo is completely flat. In general, this yo-yo has a really nice appearance. The stainless steel rims make this yo-yo super noticeable, and the shape itself is very elegant. Alright, so now let's string this yo-yo on up and talk about how it plays. The first thing that you'll notice with the Warbird is the rim weight. It really is just so powerful. And I mean, it makes sense. As we talked about before, these stainless steel rims are pretty thick. When you throw this yo-yo down, it's really surprising. It's kind of shocking. In addition, this yo-yo is really nice and maneuverable. It has just like this really nice nimble feeling on the string. So your redirects and change of direction tricks are just really easy, and it's especially useful when you're trying to crank this yo-yo up to the high speeds. And there's something really interesting about this feature that I want to talk about. This yo-yo doesn't really feel heavy or light on the string. It's definitely not a brick, but it's also not super floaty. However, the yo-yo is still really maneuverable and easy to play with, which is super nice. The shape of this yo-yo is just really nice in general. It just makes your lacerations and slack tricks super easy. I don't think you guys will have any issues in regards to hitting the gap correctly. So one thing I ran into initially with this yo-yo that wasn't my favorite was snagging. So the binds with this yo-yo feel really nice and tight, but sometimes maybe a little too tight. Sometimes I'd be in like a complex tech mount with a lot of strings around the bearing, and I'd run into a little bit of trouble with snagging. And I think this is mostly just a feature of the D-bearing. So I personally advise that you guys use some thinner strings with this yo-yo. However, we've also got those shims that mess around with the gap width, so let's try those out right now. Alright, so first I'm gonna put in the 0.1mm in and see what I think. Okay, so I can already notice that the play has changed a little bit. The binds feel not as tight, and in general it just feels a little bit less snaggy. So this is pretty nice. I like this 0.1mm. Alright, let's try the 0.2mm. Okay, again, I can definitely feel a difference by putting these guys in. Binds, again, are just like less and less snaggy. They're still tight, which is I really, really like, but they're not so much like snaggy, which is the problem I was running to initially, so this is pretty good. And now finally, let's try the 0.3mm ones. Okay, these ones actually hit the spot. I'm not gonna lie. I think this is my favorite way to play with this yo-yo is have the 0.3mm ones in, because I really now am not running into any issues with snagging, and in general it just feels really good on the string. So I think I'll probably keep those 0.3mm ones in, but it is nice how they've included a bunch of different sizes so you guys can control how tight or loose you want your binds to be. Alright, so let's take a step back. We've established that this yo is a true powerhouse. It's got tons of rim weight, it's also super maneuverable, and it really packs a punch. Binds and regens were a little bit snaggy initially, but as you saw just a little bit ago, putting in those shims really made a difference, and I highly advise you guys check those out. Alright, so this review is almost done, but there's one last topic that I want to touch on a little bit, and it's about Circle City Yo-Yos as a company. I really like what Circle City has put together with this yo-yo, and I think they've done some things that we can all learn from. There are yo-yo companies out there that really just worry about making money as a yo-yo company. They'll send out a bunch of yo-yos, and then from that point on, once they have their money, they're not really worried about whether or not people actually like the yo-yos. They're more just worried about, like, you know, getting the money, getting the yo-yos shipped out, and just like done. Circle City Yo-Yos is really just exactly the opposite. Instead, when they send out their yo-yos, they really want the customer and buyer to enjoy and love what they got. They include all these different cool accessories and customizability options with the Warhawk specifically, and I think this is really valuable because it ensures that when a player gets their new yo-yo, they can customize it perfectly so they can get it exactly how they want it to play, and then they'll be extremely pleased with the design. I think that's a really valuable thing because it shows that Circle City Yo-Yos actually cares about the customer experience, and they're not just trying to pump out a bunch of yo-yos and get money. So I really like this about this company. Thank you, Circle City Yo-Yos, for doing that for everyone. Alright, thank you guys all so much for watching my review on the P-40 Warhawk. If you guys did enjoy, be sure to leave a like. Also, if you guys are new here and haven't seen my videos before, hit that subscribe button. I post about 2 videos per week. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Peace.